interesting things about examining long-lived characters is seeing how the portrayals have changed over time. Time of recording 2025, DC Comics is using Darkseid as a big bad and has been for years. And not just your regular important villain, but an all-encompassing, cosmic, must-be-there type of evil. He's been set up over time as one of the dominant energies of the DC universe. There have been multiple world-shattering events centered around him. He's become the creator of the absolute universe. It's all quite large and grandiose. However, that has not always been the case. While he's always been positioned as significant, the level has definitely risen over the years. And there was a time when you could even have depictions of Darkseid where he wasn't entirely taken seriously. You could laugh. Like in the Super Friends episode where he's introduced, the Bride of Darkseid, seemingly a play on the Bride of Frankenstein. And that episode sees him simping hard for Wonder Woman. Those episodes, because it's part 1 and 2, even though they're aired as one, they're part of a joke online that's kind of ongoing about that's why Wonder Woman in the Absolute Universe is having a seemingly slightly better time than most in some regards. The fact that Darkseid has a crush on her, even though in comic lore there are many reasons for Darkseid to also hate Wonder Woman. Although there are some comics that have played with this Darkseid Wonder Woman romance, seemingly because of the Super Friends episode. So I thought it would be fun to go look at this episode, see if it was as intense as people said about the crushage. That's not the word. And also, sometimes it's just fun to go back and watch cartoons. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and it's time for some campy Darkseid, which is all the more enhanced by the super gravelly voice that Frank Welker gives him.
We have finally arrived, Calabac.
Now, as mentioned, Darkseid debuts in the episode The Bride of Darkseid. It's the first episode of the Super Friends season, Super Friends, the legendary superpowers show. It's produced by Hanna-Barbera, and it's from 1984. It initially ran on ABC, and it's colloquially known as Season 8 of the Super Friends, because there was a lot of different Super Friends, and they would have different subheadings. Lots of times we'd have some tie-in toys. Sidebar, some people really like to talk down on toy tie-ins, but you can still have a very good show and a toy tie-in. Toy tie-in is not an automatic reason to write the show off. Some shows put in the effort with their toy tie-in, others don't. You gotta take it on a case-by-case basis, a toy-by-toy basis. Now, this season is notable for a couple of reasons. One is this is the season where the Wonder Twins are dethroned as the audience relatability stand-in. That's gonna go to Firestorm. He's gonna be the one the kids are meant to identify with. This is really gonna push Firestorm, and this is also gonna be why some people are very fond of Firestorm. In fact, the other significant plot point of The Bride of Darkseid is introducing Firestorm, explaining who he is, how his powers work. There are a couple of scenes of it.
And while I, Ronald Raymond, control Firestorm, Professor Stein guides me telepathically.
This episode is also gonna employ some Gardner Fox storytelling technique. As you'll see if you go look at it, that this show is inspired by the Justice League, and so they're going to use some of that classic formatting, which means you're going to see the same event occur multiple times with different heroes so you can get the message emphasized. It was a technique to underscore a point. You see this with Firestorm, where the same event happens where he is helpful to one of the mainstay heroes over and over again 3 times, the rule of 3. In this case, you get to see him help 3 members with their various crimes or dangers being thwarted, and it really amused me to see Clark pause mid-change with his glasses still on to watch Firestorm. Clark, you're gonna blow your cover. Another noteworthy thing about these episodes is the first voice appearance of Adam West from Batman 66 as Batman. He takes over. Going forward, it will no longer be Olin Sewell, and it'll instead be Adam West.
Well, I've discovered one strange fact about our mysterious hero.
This is also the first depiction of Wonder Woman with the W on her top instead of the eagle. In animation, that is. Now, poor Wonder Woman is doomed to be creepily hit on by more than one person in this episode. But let's start with Darkseid, who after we've introduced Firestorm and seen him do some stuff, Darkseid arrives on Earth via his Stargate. They don't call it a boom tube here. It's a Stargate. And of course, my mind is just thinking about Stargate now. He shows up with one of his sons, Calabac. Now, Darkseid debuted in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen 134. This was in the year 1970, and he was created by Jack Kirby. He appears in the story The Mountain of Judgment. It's a very brief appearance, and it's at the very end. It's where it's revealed that Morgan Edge is working for him. He doesn't even have his iconic look yet. Flesh-colored Darkseid is real, but he can't hurt you. Yes, great Darkseid, I am your servant. I have lost a skirmish, but the battle is yet to come. Darkseid. With the mention of that name, the outline of a vast ominous intrigue begins to take shape. Follow Jimmy Olsen and his friends. It all lies waiting in their futures and yours. You know, the fact that this was his entry point, we gotta have more adventures with Jimmy and Darkseid. Also, you see right away, they're building him up. But it's still interesting to go back and see outings like this episode where you get to see a weaker version. For example, he gets tired after using his Omega beams, which he uses to rekindle Volcano to summon the Super Friends. But he has some special instructions for Calabac, and that's no touching Wonder Woman.
Just remember, Calabac, no harm is to come to Wonder Woman. Whatever you say, father.
This must be so awkward for Calibac to basically be getting the "don't you dare ruin your father's game, son" speech. Daddy's gotta shoot his shot. Calibac's even the one who has to throw the trap onto her. His dad needs to pose dramatically and also talk about how great it is to meet Wonder Woman.
Finally, we meet Wonder Woman. I've waited a long time for this moment.
Now, thanks to Firestorm turning her bonds into ribbons of the exact same color to save on animation costs, Darkseid is thwarted, for now. But don't get too excited for Firestorm, because it's also going to be his fault that she gets captured. He's the solution, the problem, then the solution again. Darkseid goes back to Apocalypse to see how progress is going with Darkseid, who is voiced by Odo from Deep Space Nine, and that just makes me happy.
I have invented a device which may enable you to conquer the Super Friends once and for all.
Darkseid has invented a mind probe. It can alter people's traits. It's a brainwashing device. And Darkseid thinks this is great. He was trying to go with a slower technique, or I guess a blunter technique, to get Wonder Woman as an ally, but now she can be his queen.
I have always dreamed of making her my ally, but with this device, I can make her my queen.
They're gonna speed everything up with the brainwashing. Now, the others think that maybe let's get, all the Super Friends. No. Wonder Woman. The truth is, and we all know it, this plan was already doomed because he didn't have an alternate outfit for her. No skimpy black outfit, it was never gonna work. Part of the turning a hero evil kit, especially if it's a female hero, involves giving them a risque outfit. Sometimes we do it for men, seeing you there, Havoc, but for the most part, that's what you need. Usually for the male counterparts, they'll get some kind of militaristic fit. Again, you can change it up, but you gotta have something. Now, Firestorm has proven so useful that he's asked to join the Super Friends, and he's very excited.
And if you wish, I can spend tomorrow showing you the secrets of the Hall of Justice.
Wow! This is unbelievable!
Now, Firestorm debuted in 1978. In Firestorm, the Nuclear Man #1, he's created by Jerry Conway and Al Milgrom. His first series only runs a few issues because it gets canceled in the DC implosion. But he leaves an impression, and he does come back, and there are pushes to try and make him like a Spider-Man. So it really makes sense that they're pushing him in this animated venue. Now, the thing with Firestorm is that he's two people, and that's going to matter a lot for this episode. There was a lab accident, now they can fuse together. In the original version, we have high school student Ronnie Raymond and Nobel Prize winning physicist Martin Stein. This episode makes him a university student. So they kind of have a TNT and Dan the Dynamite dynamic. So if you don't want to be a superhero who's tied to your professor, maybe don't go for that extra credit assignment. Now, Firestorm, or at least the Ronnie part of Firestorm, is crushing on Wonder Woman. He has been since the start. And while Stein told him to have some chill and calm down, she's too old for him, it doesn't matter, and he still hits on her.
Any questions?
Did you know you even look prettier in person, Wonder Woman?
I suggest you keep your mind on business, Firestorm.
This understandably makes her angry. She's there to give a professional tour. They're offering him a position as an equal. She's also showing him their defenses, which is arguably the most important part of the Hall of Justice, and he's gooning. Does anybody else miss when goon meant henchman? I've adapted to the slang. Like the Borg. I say gooning now and crash out. So Wonder Woman leaves Firestorm with some tech manuals. He can read those. Her part of the tour is over. This causes shenanigans. For the force field she showed him was Chekhov's force field, and we don't even have to wait till later in the episode. That same scene, while holding the books, he knocks it and he accidentally turns it off, which means that Darkseid can come in and kidnap Wonder Woman.
This time, you have arrived too late, Firestorm.
The Bride of Darkseid, Part 2. Darkseid is brainwashing Wonder Woman with the mind probe, and Firestorm is back at headquarters blaming himself, as he should be. But his powers are too useful to leave him behind, and also this is the episode to showcase that he's important. So he's going on the rescue. Black Vulcan's gonna stay behind. Now, they use one of my favorite classic comic methods to get there, and that's concealing themselves in a meteor. That's how Lex broke Brainiac off the prison planet Superman had him on. Now, while Wonder Woman's being brainwashed, they add this ring around her eyes, that kind of effect to show that it's in place. It's a nice visual cue to the fact that she's not okay. The Sod's very good, but everybody's come to get Wonder Woman, and because Darkseid didn't go for the whole maybe we should get everybody at once or start with somebody else plan because he needed Wonder Woman, it's gonna go poorly. There's some more power moments for Firestorm, and they do manage to rescue Wonder Woman. Once she's freed, she says she knows the way out.
Follow me. I know a way out of the palace.
But really, she leads them into a trap. But nobody knew on the villain side that Firestorm was two people at once. The mind probe wasn't calibrated for that, and that means he can overwhelm it. And in my favorite scene from this episode, Superman basically rolls Darkseid, Darkseid, and Calibac up in what looks like a carpet. I know it's just the floor, but it amuses me. They just walk out the side, but I'm glad it happened. Batman picked up Wonder Woman's lasso because she dropped it when she was kidnapped, and so he's able to use it to break the brainwashing. No bride for Darkseid. In fact, embarrassing defeat for Darkseid, as Superman is just able to stand there and withstand his Omega beams until Wonder Woman opens a portal behind them. They flee, it's all over. And we end on a Firestorm being the MVP joke, because he's two people.
Thank you for coming to our rescue. Mwah.
Oh, gee,
No, bad episode. We don't leave the conflation and mess. No Firestorm X Wonder Woman. Somebody call Steve. Now, as someone who did not regularly watch the Super Friends, I was directed this way because of the kind of memes online about this being a thing from it, that Darkseid has this crush on Wonder Woman. And I have to say, I feel like I was mildly oversold by the internet. It's definitely an important part of this episode. Just, you know how people talk about things online. They can make the smallest thing seem like the biggest thing. This episode is a fairly standard I must have her and make her my bride type of plot. It's a throwback. Now, the idea of Darkseid having a crush on Wonder Woman, I think it's one that people enjoy because it comes across as a bit odd. Not the idea of people having a crush on Wonder Woman, but Darkseid specifically, because Darkseid doesn't tend to be a character that people associate with romance. Now, as mentioned, Darkseid is not the only person who has a crush on Wonder Woman in this episode, which again does kind of take away from some of the whole it's all Darkseid, because we also have Firestorm who likes her and kind of flirts with her. So it ends up just painting a picture like she's just being constantly assailed by unwanted attention from both peers and villains. And then they muddy it at the end with the whole heroism is worthy of a kiss trope. Where is Steve when you need him? Never around, that's where. I do find it interesting that Darkseid still tests her after the brainwashing to see if she's worthy / if it took. That part's a nice villain moment because it showcases that the villainy is still intact. It's not completely overwritten by the desire for Wonder Woman as Quinn. On the whole, plot-wise, this isn't the most memorable episode, but it's very significant because it introduces so many new characters into the superpowers, super friends kind of universe with Darkseid and Firestorm. So I feel like it's more memorable from that standpoint than from the whole Darkseid trying to get with Wonder Woman. Also, just in general, it's kind of nice to see a all-encompassing threat level Darkseid. Now, in this episode's primary purpose, which is introducing Firestorm, it does very well. It explains who he is, you get to see his powers, and even with the whole Wonder Woman flirtation, he comes across as very likable. He has some flaws, some strengths, and both parts of the character feel distinct. He's a bit impulsive, and then we have Dr. Stein, who's the more practical, calm one. You get to see the dynamic. And the moral of the story is, don't leave your force field just kind of out in the open with a very easily accessible on and off switch. Now, this episode left me slightly wanting, so I needed to see if there was some more Darkseid, Wonder Woman energy that I could get from this era. And then I was told about the Darkseid deception, so I watched it, and I really liked that episode. This is from the Superpowers Team Galactic Guardian season. It was the last season, so it's colloquially called Season 9. It's also produced by Hanna-Barbera. We have a different Wonder Woman voice actress this time. It's BJ Ward, whereas before last season, it was Connie Caulfield. Cyborg joins this season, and he's voiced by Ernie Hudson, so he ain't afraid of no ghost. And we still have Mark L. Taylor voicing Firestorm. There are also some changes to how the characters are drawn. It actually made me go and check to see if they had the same animation house, because Darkseid is really given a much more menacing look, and it works. It pairs well with the voice that Welker gave him. This season also kicks it up a notch. There are some deeper episodes. It goes for a bit more drama and a bit more introspection with some of the characters. The Darkseid deception is definitely a tad more dramatic.
Your hand, it's so cold.
It opens on their new headquarters in space. Now they got multiple bases. There are some shenanigans in the opening, like they're trying to get the gravity working so they don't have to wear gravity belts.
You okay? Yeah, but I think I'll skip lunch.
Wonder Woman is waiting for a call from Steve, her beloved, who is, as always, rocking the nickname for her that he has from the Golden Age, even though at the start she didn't entirely love it.
You're a sight for sore eyes, Angel. These solo flights can get pretty lonely.
I've missed you too, Hotshot.
Now, Steve's on a mission to retrieve a satellite, the TC-7. It's a defense satellite and it's broken. But as he's talking with / flirting with Wonder Woman on open channel so the entire league can listen, a mysterious portal opens and he flies through it. This panics Wonder Woman and she insists that they need to go get him. So as that's going on, we get to see where he went. Now, another change this season is that there's not a narrator to explain scene transitions. So while you do lose that iconic meanwhile, you add more of a building tension because the scenes get to kind of transition with a silence and with the background music that they choose, and so it does kind of make things feel a bit more tense and a bit more serious. They cut back on the narrator at least. Now, Darkseid captured this ship because he needs the satellite. Steve being on it is just an added bonus because he knows all about Steve and the fact that Wonder Woman is into him for reasons. Darkseid is just as confused about this as many other people.
So, this is the mortal Wonder Woman prefers over me.
Hard to believe, eh, Father?
Darkseid is once more doing the real work and is creating a duplicate of the satellite. They're going to turn it into a weapon that's actually going to transform the Earth into parademons. They reveal that later, but I'm just going to tell it to you now for flow of recap. But they do actually have some tension and mystery inside the episode itself of, what are they going to do with it? So high stakes things. Now, Steve knows his role and so goes full damsel.
I don't know what you're up to, but the Superpowers team will be looking for me.
Darkseid is counting on this, and so uses another gadget to make himself look like Steve. And this is the best part of the episode, Darkseid Steve pretending to be regular Steve.
I don't believe it. No doubt your beloved Wonder Woman has been worrying about you. Let's not keep her worrying any longer.
Now, the love of Wonder Woman aspect is a bit more in the background, but there's also now kind of a darker, malicious edge to it, which to me makes it stand out a bit more and makes it a bit more memorable. It's less camp than the earlier depiction. It also just makes it seem like it's something a bit more ingrained, but not the focus. There's a bit more balance. Now, Darkseid Steve goes back and gets saved by the Superpowers team, but he's super rude and cold.
Do you doubt my story?
Oh no, Steve.
And he's far more concerned about the satellite than anything else. Now, lots of the team don't know Steve, so they don't jump to the conclusion that, oh, he must have been possessed. I mean, Batman's kind of going in that direction. But they just think that maybe Wonder Woman's boyfriend is a jerk. Cyborg is not the MVP, although he proves to be later, but he does not say anything at the moment that he sees a glow around Steve, and even his eyes are glowing. It's like, oh, that's probably normal. Darkseid also isn't all over Wonder Woman, despite the fact that he's posing as Steve, which is a nice touch. We get a Wonder Woman 75 reference after Steve is really rude to Diana and demands to see Wonder Woman. She does the spin to transform.
See to it that she waits in my office until I return.
Darkseid is now switching the satellites, the one that they brought back, which is the original, with the one they've created. I'm assuming that they had to wait so that if there were any scans or anything, no one would know.
Great hell!
What an unexpected pleasure.
Now, when Wonder Woman discovers him, he uses this as an opportunity to capture her too.
Now that the deception is in, Wonder Woman and I bid you farewell.
Oh, they forgot to animate his mouth moving for this. Sometimes the animation can be a bit rough in this era. There's a lot of cost cutting. They do a really nice job of making him seem menacing in this scene, with the eye glowing, how sometimes it's only the outer rims. I'm not even sure if that's an error or not, but it looks cool. It just makes it seem like Darkseid is bleeding through, which is a nice touch. Plus, this episode's funny.
Monster, I admit I find these features unappealing, but I was led to believe you were somewhat attracted by them.
You get a much more confident Darkseid here. Maybe not competent, but confident. Now, Darkseid turns Steve into Neanderthal in front of Wonder Woman because he can, because he's petty like that, and he ends up turning her into a kind of crystal statue because she refuses to ally/be with him. Well, now she's going to be with him forever, and he'll gaze upon her always. Apocalypse itself also looks a lot more menacing in this episode. It looks more like its comic book self. It's on fire. The skies are all darkened. When the Superpowers team gets there, after they manage to infiltrate, they do manage to find Steve, and they recognize him because of the outfit he's wearing, his spacesuit, because he's full Neanderthal, and they're about to put him into slavery. They do save him. Wonder Woman would be upset if they didn't. And as they descend further in looking for Darkseid's lab, they see Wonder Woman as a statue, which Robin thinks is very questionable.
One chip on that statue and it'll be your hides. Darkseid has a statue of Wonder Woman? That's kind of weird.
Superman's in the back thinking, don't say anything bad about mannequins and shrines. Do you know how many shrines Superman has to his girlfriends or love interests inside the fortress? It's a lot. He also actually has a shrine for his friends too, so there's a Robin statue in there. We can't let Robin too deep into the fortress. He'd think it's weird. Also, there's a little animation error here after they defeat Calabac, thanks to the help of Firestorm. And it's while they're carrying Wonder Woman. There's a couple of frames where she's not drawn as a crystal statue, even though she's still supposed to be one. Now, they manage to get to Darkseid's lab and change Steve and Wonder Woman back, and then it's confrontation time. With the Super Friends trapped in the kind of red solar energy thing, we've always got to make sure to get Superman out of commission. But they have a transmitter, so they're able to change the course of the satellite, send it careening back towards Apocalypse. Which leads to something that made me laugh out loud, which is Darkseid caring more about his lab than the collapse of Darkseid's plan.
My laboratory!
And so the Super Friends return home and the Earth is saved from Darkseid, for now. You see, Darkseid also just comes across as less menacing here because he's in that, being easily thwarted and then coming back kind of mode. Now, this episode has some really solid atmosphere, some decent stakes, some fun depictions, and some funny moments. On a Darkseid and Wonder Woman level, it was, to me, more memorable than The Bride of Darkseid. It just made the whole thing a bit more menacing, and it was wrapped up in a more interesting plot to me. It kind of sold me on the concept a bit more because of that. Not that they'd be a good couple or anything, but just as a kind of interesting idea. Also, petty moments against Steve Trevor, always welcome. Now, these two episodes were the ones that people tended to cite the most for Wonder Woman Darkseid moments. As I mentioned, I'm not quite as into the Super Friends as some of the other animated series out there, so if there are any other episodes with even better moments, let me know, because I'd love to watch them. I just want to dive in and explore and see some of the kind of beginnings of some of the jokes that still float around online. which is fun because these moments, people remember them, and they can sometimes become something even outside of where they originate, sometimes even bigger, and that's fun. I'm definitely glad I checked these out. It's always fun to look back on these things. And for some, the Super Friends and its many various seasons were their introduction to many a DC character. Like when I did a short on Alexa's Battle Array armor, people went, oh, it's Super Friends fit, because after it debuts in the comics 4 years later, it makes its way over into the show. It is a good look. These adaptations can end up leaving a lasting impact. I know for me, I probably wouldn't be as into comics as I am if it weren't for those 90s animated shows. So were you a fan of the Super Friends? What was your favorite era if you were? Did you collect any of the action figures? Do you remember the Darkseid Wonder Woman vibes? Please share all your thoughts, and while you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hype, hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time today to spend discussing comics and comic adjacent things with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.